After Dark.
Woo!
We're back.
Woo!
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Woo! Tarkovsky.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah. That was one I
Getting
wanted
it
to
in.
do since the beginning, really. So glad we finally did that. I think people are gonna like that. I think everyone's gonna do numbers. Thanks to you Patreon people for joining us, and thanks for your ongoing support. Don't forget, we are going to be discussing meeting to discuss Aaron Gwynn's great novel, All God's Children. And if you don't get around to reading it, though I highly encourage you to, and we'd love to see you in the book club meeting. That recording will be available afterwards. Let's see. Andrei Tarkovsky, Russian filmmaker. As I said in the main episode,
Man About Town.
Man About Town. Something like that. Yeah.
Troubled, psychotic,
Yeah.
art villain.
Yeah,
Andrei
really
Tarkovsky.
He's really the guy. He is perhaps more than anyone we've covered. How he looks to me is so consistent with how he is somehow. There's he is who I would cast to play the character that I just described.
And it appears that he never went through one of these transformations that occasionally will happen, where like Artaud went from heartthrob to goblin. Brando went from total smoking hunk to just obese.
Jabba the Hutt. Yeah.
Jabba the Hutt. Yeah. Tarkovsky, I don't see that when I look at pictures of him.
No, he sort of aged like a normal person, more or less.
Yeah.
He
looks like he could be like a used car salesman from Seattle.
He does. Yeah.
With like a pack of Marbs.
Yeah. He would wear he would wear like denim suits, like jeans,
based.
Canadian tuxedo.
So based. That is the best.
Yeah.
If you could pull that look off, dude, that is the ultimate PUA. You don't need anything else. That's it. That's all you need.
That's right.
The amount of confidence that it takes to do that. I wonder what kind of music he liked. He liked classical music, obviously.
He likes classical music, yeah. There wasn't really much mentioned in the films. It's funny, he since you mentioned that, the films don't have super notable scores, but he in the vein of how difficult he was to work with, for Solaris, he told the guy who wrote the score, and I don't have his name at my fingertips. He told the guy who wrote the score, he said, "Listen, I don't want music. What I want is some musically arranged sound."
Okay.
All right.
Wow.
I don't want a movie. I want some cinematically arranged images. If you know what I mean. If you catch my drift. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the promise of the episode, the After Dark episode here is we're going to talk about a couple things. One is talk about the question: did Stalker kill Tarkovsky? Now,
that is a good After Dark topic, by the way. Very good. Good pick.
Tarkovsky dies at age 54 of bronchial cancer. Now, there's some lore that the filming killed him, and I alluded in the main episode to the fact that they're in this industrial wasteland, essentially, right? This abandoned hydroelectric power plant. There's red foam coming down the paper and pulp processing factory upstream. There's snow in the air one day. Now, if it had just been Tarkovsky that died of bronchial cancer, maybe that's just a fluke. Maybe that just happened. Some people, unfortunately, don't live to be 70, 80, 90 years old for one reason or another.
Yeah.
But here's a little bit from an interview in 2000 that appeared in Pravda in 2001 with Stalker sound designer Vladimir Sharun. "We were shooting near Tallinn, That's in Estonia. In the area around the small river Pilate, with a half-functioning hydroelectric station. Up the river was a chemical plant, and it poured out poisonous liquids downstream. There is even in this shot in Stalker, snow falling in the summer and white foam floating down the river. In fact, it was some horrible poison. Many women in our crew got allergic reactions on their faces. Tarkovsky died from cancer of the right bronchial tube, and Tolya Solonitsyn too. That's one of the actors, and I'm going to tell his story of his death in a minute. That it was all connected to the location shooting for Stalker became clear to me when Larissa died from the same illness. That's Tarkovsky's wife, died from the same illness in Paris. So at least 3 people who worked on this film died of bronchial cancer. I'm going to read you the part in about Anatoly Solonitsyn. Now he would be an interest. He could make an episode in his own right. He starred as Andrei Rublev in Andrei Rublev. He was one of the remaining scientists in Solaris. He was who was he in? He was the doctor in The Mirror, and then he was the writer in Stalker. Very talented actor. Tarkovsky liked him because he was slavishly devoted to Tarkovsky's vision, and that's all he wanted. In fact, at one point there was talk about there being some kind of Dostoevsky biopic that Tarkovsky would make. I would hate to say biopic when I'm talking Tarkovsky, but a film about Dostoevsky's life. And Solonitsyn would have played Dostoevsky, but he doesn't look like Dostoevsky, so he offered to get plastic surgery in order to make the film.
Right? I love it.
He was like, I will just do whatever you want.
That's
Tarkovsky.
what I expect from my collaborators in
all
all things, in podcasting, in the theater. That's right. 100%.
That's right. Now, okay. Now
you need to be making demands. You need to be demand maxing.
Demand maxing. That's
demand maxing. Whatever happened to making demands?
You're not allowed to make demands anymore.
Yeah, we used to make demands. That's what made a man.
Yeah, and it used to be if you made a demand, it's like he demanded it. I don't know. I guess I got to do it. I don't know.
He made a demand.
Yeah. He just came in here, started making demands, walked out with exactly what he wanted. I don't know what to do about that.
Return to demand.
I do need to start making more demands. It's true. Now Solonitsyn was supposed to be in. If Tarkovsky had his way, Solonitsyn would have been in Nostalgia, and he would have been in The Sacrifice. Tarkovsky was like, I'm just going to put this dude in all my movies, right? Now, the issue with that is, unfortunately, Solonitsyn was the first person to get sick from this whole Stalker thing. Let's see. So I'm missing one little trick here. So, okay. At the time, I'm just reading from the bio here. At the time when Tarkovsky was preparing to go to Italy permanently, his quote good luck charm, his favorite actor, a man that had been inseparably faithful to him, was dying a painful death from lung cancer. Anatoly Solonitsyn, it says lung cancer here, so I don't know. It's hard to get the details straight on this. Anatoly Solonitsyn considered Andrei his spiritual father. His love was overflowing but timid. Andrei looked on Solonitsyn's work for other film directors with jealousy. He was completely incapable of being happy for Solonitsyn's success in the films of other directors. A little bit down ways. Andrei never showed an interest in other people's work, especially when it was successful. He did not notice even the success of those close to him, not understanding how it could hurt them. Right. So Solonitsyn, he can't be in one of Tarkovsky's films every 6 years. He's got to get other work, right? So, and Tarkovsky sort of does not accept that. Now, the Tarkovskys knew about Anatoly's state, but over a couple of months, Andrei and Larissa, who had been living only a 15-minute walking distance from Solonitsyn, visited him only once. The dude's got lung cancer. He's your go-to actor. You're going to leave permanently. Like, go say what's up to the dude. He lives down the street. During the visit, apparently unsure how to behave, Andre repeated the same phrase over and over again. Tolia, you fool. Hey, what's wrong with you? Let's see. In the end, he left without saying, Tarkovsky left without saying goodbye to his favorite actor, knowing for sure that he would never see him again. When Anatoly was told that Tarkovsky was already filming in Italy, in Nostalgia in Italy, he lost feeling in his legs. He asked the nurse to take Tarkovsky's photo off the wall, and he never rose from his ottoman again. He sucked all my blood dry, Solzhenitsyn uttered. He died before he reached his 47th birthday. Okay, so Stalker claims one life. Now, Stalker claims apparently, nobody did an autopsy to determine, nobody was doing sampling or anything while they're filming Stalker. It's not like they had, stringent OSHA safety standards and we're going to do soil samples or whatever. So nobody really knows exactly what they were exposed to, but it seems pretty clear that there was something in the water. The audio, the sound designer claims all these women got, had skin issues from exposure to this stuff. Tarkovsky gets cancer, his wife gets cancer, and she was there every day, right? She worked as an assistant, and Solzhenitsyn gets fired, which interestingly, the first version of the film, filmed with that other DP, that other cinematographer that he fired, that was filmed at a different location. That guy's life may have been saved by being fired from that film.
Right. Sometimes your bad fortune, there's that great Cormac quote, what is something to the effect of never underestimate the worst fortune that your bad fortune has spared you.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. No, I didn't get the job.
Right.
Well,
yeah.
Who knows
what happened?
Yeah, for real.
Now here's where we're going to get into a little bit of the spooky ooky stuff. Now there is a great shot.
Spooky.
There's a great shot in Stalker, and I'm going to keep it somewhat tied to Stalker. There's a great shot in Stalker where he's passing over. He's passing over stuff that's underwater. There's just some relics. There's like a gun at one point. It's just like stuff that people have left behind. There's an ampule of some sleeping medicine or something. And among all of these things, there's a little icon, it's not an Andrei Rublev icon, but it looks like something that Rublev might have painted. And there's let me just read it because it's nice and it's got a nice little dramatic effect. Okay. I think I got this the right page. Okay. Quote, every detail bears a seductive memory in the debris that remains after an unknown catastrophe. This is talking about the water. But is it debris or is it a mosaic put together with some unknown intention? Aquatic plants float threateningly while below them under the water there are shattered tiles, springs, bundles of wires, syringes. The image of the Savior on a prayer card looks up through the water among shimmering little fish. Tarkovsky put together this, quote, canvas himself and for some reason placed a page from an old calendar offhandedly among the debris. The date on it is December 29th. Tarkovsky dies December 29th, 1986. He literally, for reasons that no one can explain, put a calendar page of his death date into a scene years before he died.
Ooh.
Right? Okay. Now, there's some other strange correspondences with this film, and particularly with the Chernobyl incident. I'm not going to go through everything that happened at Chernobyl, but in the Stalker, the film, they state that there is a 30-kilometer radius around the zone. That's where you got to stay out of. Now, remember, Stalker happens before Chernobyl, right? Stalker's released before Chernobyl. When Chernobyl happens, can you guess the radius of the Chernobyl exclusion zone? Yeah, 30 kilometers. You're on mute, but I know you
30 kilometers. 30 kilometers. That was the easiest, can you guess, that we've had yet.
Yeah, it's pretty
okay.
Easy. Okay.
Yeah, inside the zone with Andrei Tarkovsky. Okay,
here's another one. In the film, there's a bunch of talk about something going wrong in the fourth bunker in the zone. It's mentioned multiple times and is the writer's primary thesis. The writer says something got out of the fourth bunker. What happened at Chernobyl? Well, the fourth energy block exploded. The fourth. So what the hell is going on with this movie? Right.
Whoa. Hmm.
Okay. Later,
Whoa.
now later, this is like some hyperstition stuff. Later, the colloquial name for the exclusion zone around Chernobyl would be called the zone. And people who guide curious adventurers into this zone would take on the name stalkers. So if you wanted to go into the Chernobyl exclusion zone, you had to like find a stalker that would take you in, right? Now that was of course based deliberately on the film, but like the inter of these two things is kind of crazy, right? Now, the question is, what would Tarkovsky make of all these like correspondences and weird coincidences, right? Like, did he truck with any of this? I think we said that on the Taiga, he was saved by a voice, this mysterious voice calling him out of his hut, right? And he had that seance where he was told he would only get to make 7 films, which he only got to make 7 films. And it's not like he didn't try to make more. He was working his ass off to try to make films and literally died like while like
He's
within a
like, I'm
year.
at 7. I gotta go. I gotta get
Right.
an 8th in. I
Yeah,
gotta
yeah.
beat this
Right.
curse. Yeah,
No,
yeah. I wonder if
not
that was like
happening.
in the back of his mind. Yeah. Ooh.
Probably to some extent. He did talk later on in life about like whether or not his student film counted towards the 7, whether or not
Mm.
Steamroller and the Violin counted, right? And it doesn't. It doesn't count in the 7. But it's not really a film. Like it did get released, but it's 40 minutes or whatever. So I can see it
It's
not
not a
counting. It's
feature.
like
Not a
it's
feature.
juvenilia or something. Yeah, it's not a feature.
No,
Now,
it's just not a feature film.
yeah. Now, okay. Yeah, interestingly enough, Tarkovsky said he didn't like science fiction. He said it had too many comic book elements. But this is probably not actually true. He did apparently like James Cameron's Terminator. He managed to see Terminator before he died.
That is something to think about, isn't it?
Isn't it? Yeah. He didn't like how brutal it was, but he was like, this is actually what the future looks like.
Can you imagine what it must have been like to be Tarkovsky in the 80s and to
Right.
go into the cinema and to see a movie like Terminator? Like what your brain, like what you're seeing
Mhm.
relative to every single other person in
Right.
that cinema
Right.
or in like
Right.
on the
Yeah.
planet.
Yeah. I would like to
Yeah.
just watch him watch that movie almost. Just
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Right, right.
Well,
He's just
yeah.
munching on his
Right.
popcorn. He's got his
Popcorn.
like his mints.
Well, you have to
Yeah.
wonder too, like, uh, could he enjoy like a mainstream, like, could he put
I,
himself in the mind for him? Just, I don't know,
it
like,
sounds like he could. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um,
What if he
now,
would have
but
made it to Jaws?
that's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know.
Hard to say.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
He was so focused on his own shit that like he didn't talk about other films very much, but
Mm.
um, he so despite not liking science fiction or whatever, or claiming to, I think he partially might have done that to look like more sophisticated than uh, or something. Um, he did believe in the supernatural, right? Um, Tarkovsky was convinced that he saw a UFO when he was living near the Caspian Sea after making The Mirror. Here's a quote from an article on, oh, did I get the name of this? Where was this? This was on this is from this is from Pravda. This is from the same Pravda article. Quote from Vladimir Sharun. Quote, Tarkovsky believed in miracles, no question about that. He firmly believed in the existence of flying saucers and even claimed he saw one near his home in the Ryazan province. One absolutely could not convince him otherwise. Tarkovsky wouldn't allow any doubts in the existence of the extraterrestrials. Incidentally, it all harmoniously combined with his faith in God. He knew the Gospels of St. Matthew and St. Luke practically by heart and could quote whole paragraphs. Thanks to Tarkovsky's passion for anything out of the ordinary, a man called Edward Naumov somehow ended up within our circle. He had made popular films about paranormal phenomena, organized lectures on the subject, and I think he actually spent some time in prison for illegal sale of tickets for those mass gatherings. Tarkovsky's circle helped him as much as they could. Once Naumov showed us one of his films. The film showed Nina Sergeyevna Koligna, who was a well-known psychic at the time. During the war, she was a gunner/navigator on a fighter plane, and she was shot down with the pilot by the Germans. Then she married that pilot and had 3 children. After her 3rd child, she discovered she had an ability for telekinesis. She could move objects with her sight. On the screen, Kolegina, surrounded by a group of people who looked like scientists, was sitting behind a table with a transparent top to avoid any claims of forgery. On the table, there was a lighter, a spoon, and some other items. Kolegina's face darkened with exertion. She fixed her unblinking stare on the lighter, which followed her gaze. So she basically moves the lighter with her mind in this film. Tarkovsky attentively watched Naumov's film. It's not a film. It's shown as being documentation of a real event, right? Tarkovsky attentively watched Naumov's film, and after it was finished, he immediately claimed, "Well, what do you say? Here is the ending of Stalker." Now, for people who've made it to the end of Stalker, the Stalker's daughter has telekinesis. It's like the twist right at the end. And apparently he got this because Tarkovsky was buddies with some guy who was way into like psi effects and like finding psychics and making films about them, right? Very interesting. That's pretty much all I've got on that matter. I mean, he was interested again. This thing about he believed that Larissa was a witch. He talked about that to his dying day. I don't know if you remember, but there was an incident when they were making Andrei Rublev where Tarkovsky just jumped on a horse and it like bucked and he got caught and dragged and hit by.
Yeah.
He said that Larissa did that to him. Larissa was angry with him for stepping out or angry with him because he wouldn't leave his wife. That's what was going on at that time. He was still with Irma Rausch, and that basically Larissa inspired him through witchcraft to throw himself on this horse and get injured. So he's living in a world of omens and signs and witchcraft and telekinesis but also like, I don't know if he's orthodox exactly. He's not orthodox he's sort of unorthodoxly orthodox if he is, but certainly has a reverence for that world. Just a very strange dude. Yeah.
Very strange dude. Yeah, a cipher.
Yes.
And
yeah.
What, again, tell me the order if were telling a noob, okay?
Yeah. I would start with I would start with Stalker. I would watch Stalker first, and then I'd probably watch Solaris. And then I feel like if you enjoyed those movies, like if you watch those and you're like, I would recommend that, like those meant something to me, then I would probably just go see if you're gonna make the room. My favorites are Stalker, Solaris, and the Sacrifice. Those are my 3 favorites, and then after that, Andrei Rublev.
Boom.
Yeah,
we got good stuff coming up. We do.
Yes,
I've got Frida Kahlo coming up. I don't know, we might have to rearrange. We'll figure it out. We've got Fitzgerald Part 1
live.
Who are you doing next after this spread?
Emily Dickinson.
Oh yeah, that'll be interesting. We're going over toward the ladies. I just did Lenny. Mm-hmm. I like this. We did 2 great filmmakers of the 20th century. And
absolutely, and not Americans either, right? Like,
right.
We're spreading our wings a little bit.
We're spreading our wings. We're flying, and they were both monstrous in their own ways. Mm-hmm. These 2,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very curious. I don't know if you could accuse Lenny, like in her personal life, of having committed as many sins as Andre per se, but like in her work, she committed the greater sins.
Yeah, right. So, right. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, Lenny seems like a reasonable person. Like I wouldn't mind having dinner with Lenny, but my dinner.
Careful how loudly you say that. But exactly. I know. Yeah, very curious. But Andre is kind of scary.
Yeah,
my dinner with Andre. My dinner with Tarkovsky. Yeah. Yeah, he's a little scary.
He is. Yeah. He's intense. And he might sick his witch wife on you for all you know.
Can't have that.
Yeah, not good.